coming back, a whole big group, and running into the village and breaking the windows and going into each house, taking the men to sell them as slaves and the women to be maids, and take all the way and put the houses in fire. And all of a sudden Rabbi Akiva understands that if he would sleep in the village, he would be taken away from his family forever. If he would have the rooster, they would find him in the middle of the night, because when they passed by him, they passed actually next to him. The rooster would cry or the donkey would make noise. So actually he understood that Hashem saved his life by taking away everything that he had in order for him to be able to go back to his family. So that's why from that story, that's the Talmud says, he always said to people, Gam zu letovah, whatever Hashem does is for the better. Now, did something negative happen to him?
Yes.
Yes, there was a loss. But it was worth it to lose that in order to gain something that is greater. So it's a good deal. So in any time, he would ask, shall I take away your donkey? Shall I take away your cattle? Shall I take away your rooster? For sure, take it away. Save me, that's no question. But
some struggles and some losses are greater than that.
Okay.
So it's really...
Okay.
It's a struggle.
So, but that's one... That's one...
Very, very hard. The best.
Okay, but this story is definitely a good deal.
Yes.
So we can understand, maybe if we try to understand, there is a way that if we calculate the amount of negative that we have, maybe if we put it on our weight, it's worth it. It's worth it. If the trade-off is good enough, then let it be.
And I think maybe sometimes the trade-off is not in your life, and you just a part of the chain. I don't know.
Wow.
So to save me, it took away other people.
Yeah.
It didn't save other people. So if something bad happened to me, I would say, okay, it's probably because other people need to be saved.
I don't know. I'm just saying that this is one solution. We are trying to find a way to accept. And it's very difficult to accept when it's painful and it's bad. So, and the answer is, maybe you gained something greater. And
the greater is you gain something. I don't know if it's greater, but you don't know the chain of reaction that will happen from something.
Beautiful.
So you can just assume that something will good come out of it. Greater, I don't know.
Gam zu letova means that you say about something negative that it is positive in the way of Rabbi Akiva. Sometimes we don't know the end of the story, but he saw the end of the story, and that's why he told us the end of the story, that if we would have known the total picture, we would say Gam zu letova. That's one way. The other way is text 6, if you may, Edith.
No.
Okay, so we're going back to you, if you may.
People refer to Nahum Ish
Gamzu.
guy because whatever happened to him, he would respond Gamzu Letova. This is also for the good. Once the Jews needed to send a gift to the Caesar, they told each other who should go to Rome bearing the gift on our behalf. Let us send Nahum Ish Gamzu because he regularly experienced.
She can't stop herself. She
What?
says, every time it says Gamzu, she says Gamzu Letova.
Right, because that was
His
the
name
Hebrew.
is because he always says, we have in Israel a place that is called Gamzu, or Rehov Gamzu. Yes, Gamzu, it's Gamzu, it's not Gimzu. It looks like Gimzu, it doesn't make sense, but they called, in Israel, the street names, the first name is in small letters, and the last name is in big. So when it says Rehov Trumpeldor, the first name is not, or Rehov Allenby, the first name. Gamzu is Rabbi Nachum. Rabbi Nachum is in little letters, and then big letters says Gamzu, Rehov Gamzu. So in Tel Aviv there is a Rehov Gamzu. Why was he called Nachum Ish Gamzu? Because he always says Gamzu Letova.
That's how I hear the expression for years and years.
So she cannot stop herself. She says, whenever it says Gamzu, it says Gamzu Letova. No, his last name is Gamzu. Why is it last name? Because he always said Gamzu Letova. Yes.
Because he regularly experienced miracles. They sent him off with a chest full of precious stones and jewels. On his way, he stopped at an inn for the night. During the night, the innkeepers removed all his precious stones and jewels and refilled the chest with soil. The next morning, Nahum realized what had happened, but he simply declared, "This is also for the good." When he arrived at Caesar's palace and presented his gift on behalf of the Jewish nation, they opened the chest and saw that it was filled with soil. "The Jews are mocking me," warned the Caesar. He was about to execute Nahum and the Jews who accompanied him, but Nahum simply declared, "This is also for the good." Elijah the prophet suddenly appeared before the Caesar disguised as one of his ministers. He told the Caesar, "Perhaps the soil is the kind that their ancestor Abraham used in battle." He threw the earth at the enemy's armies, and it turned into swords that fell upon his opponents. He threw stubble, and it turned into arrows. The Caesar was eager to try it out. There was a province that the Romans were unable to conquer. They tested the soil by throwing it at their enemies, and thereby conquered that province. In gratitude, the Caesar instructed that Nahum's chest be refilled with precious stones and jewels from the royal treasury. They sent him back home with great honor.
Beautiful. Okay, so that's another story in the Talmud. Seems like that it's very similar. I'll say the story in short, just to review. It was in Israel, it was in a terrible time when the rulers of Israel were very vicious to the Jewish people. And they always came up with new decrees and new taxes and new hardships that they impressed upon us. So in the last chance, they sent Rabbi Nachum, because he was able to speak the language, with a chest full of the last jewelry of all the Jewish women in their time. He went to sleep on the way, and the robbers came to his hotel room. They knew that he is going with something special, and they took away the box of the jewels and put dirt instead, in order for him not to feel it. He got up in the morning, he didn't know from anything, it was weighing the same way, and he went to the ruler. Ruler opens it, and it's dirt. So he says, "What, making fun of me? I'm going to put him to death." So one of the advisors says, "It doesn't make sense. The Jews are not people that are looking to get you in trouble. It must be something special. Maybe it's from the Abraham sand that he threw at his enemies, and it became arrows and stones, and he won the war with it." So he says, "Well, maybe." He took it he was in a constant war with other countries. He took it to the first line, he threw that dust, and it became arrows, and he won the war. So he says, "Oh wow, the Jews have, secret weapons." He came back, and he gave Rabbi Nachum from his treasury full of good stones and jewels. Now, on the way back, he slept in the same place, and everybody is asking, he came back alive from the palace? We took his jewels, the thieves are there. We took the jewels and we put dirt. He says, "Yeah, but it was special dirt. They hear that we won the war because of the dirt of Rabbi Nachum. Everybody in the news says Rabbi Nachum saved our country from war once." So they said, "You know what? Let me go to the defense minister and tell him we know where the dirt is coming from. It's not from Rabbi Nachum. We put it there." So they took him in. Says, "Let me try." He threw the dirt. Nothing happened. So not only that Rabbi Nachum came back with a full chest of jewels, the thieves were prosecuted, they were hung because of the stealing of his jewels, and everything came in place. So his expression was Gam zu letova. Rabbi Akiva says everything that God does, it's for the good. Kol man David Rachmana letav Avid. And this is Gam zu letova. It sounds exactly the same or similar, but there is a difference between the two expressions. What is the difference? Anybody can suggest?
If you look at the board, כל מה שעושה עבד רחמן לטביד, whoever does, Hashem does it for the good, means that the action itself is not necessarily good as at the moment. כל מה שעושה לטביד, for the good. But אנחנו look at it, גם זו means this itself לטובה.
And that's what we're looking for. That's exactly the difference. Is it bad that it's going to bring good? Or this itself looks like to us as good, bad, but really that's our saying. This is good. By Rabbi Nachum, the fact that they stole his jewels was maybe the point of saving everybody, because another box of Jews wouldn't bribe the king to give the Jewish people let go of all the bad decrees. Maybe it wasn't enough. So the miracle was that when the Jews were taken away, this helped. This itself, the accident, the loss of the Jews was the beginning of the good. It is good. And the Rebbe explains it. If you may read it in text 7, please.
Text 7. This is a distinction between the stories of Rabbi Akiva and Nachum Ish Ganzu. Rabbi Akiva suffered loss and pain. He lost his donkey and rooster. He sat in the dark and he spent the night in the field. True, it was for the sake of a positive outcome, but the experience itself was painful. By contrast, Nachum Ish Ganzu never suffered any harm. To the contrary, if he had presented precious stones and jewels, it is uncertain whether the Caesar would have valued the gift. After all, there was no shortage of precious stones in the royal treasury. The soil that he brought, on the other hand, was indeed greatly appreciated. Rabbi Akiva endured hardship, but that hardship spared him from far greater hardship. Nachum Ish Ganzu's experience was itself a positive one.
Okay. So we have two takes on suffering and pain. One is that this will bring to good. A woman that gives birth goes through the most painful experience that a human being has. The pain is the greatest. And still, women get pregnant and give birth every day, again and again and again. How can you do it? It's so sadistic. If you're screaming and you're shouting and you're very close to lose your life sometimes. This is not a game. And they get pregnant again. What are you, bringing upon yourself pain once and twice and 3 times? And what is going on? So, maybe we can save it. It's in our hand. People, this is something that you have control over. Why you bring yourself pain? It's worth it. The pain is worth the child that will be born. And a person makes the calculation and it says it's all good. That's the only way to get a child. I'm going to go through it. Is it not good? Are you sadistic? Are you bringing upon yourself something that is so bad? No. If when you wait, it comes out that it's worth to suffer for this good that comes out, and that's the only way to get there, then it's all good. But, truthfully speaking, there is pain. But if you have the right attitude, you accept the pain in a positive way. This is Rabbi Akiva way. That there's pain and bad, but it's worth the gain. Nachumi's Gamzu way is that there's no pain at all. It's true that I lost and there were thieves and they took away the Jews and it looks like a catastrophic tragedy, but that's the only way. That itself is good. That's a higher level. To take something that if you ask everyone around, they'll tell you it's bad, but because you know deeper the story and the end of the story, then there's no pain at all. There's no tragedy at all. There's no bad event in the middle. That's two takes. In the first take, there's pain that brings to greater gain, and the second take is that the pain is in disguise. It's really good. This itself is good. These are the two takes. Let's see if we can go to a new place that is even deeper. And text 8 is taking us to a new place to say that maybe we have to a new understanding about pain and suffering in the world. And this is the continuation of the same chapter in Tanya. I'm sorry, Rabbi Yossi, we missed you, so I went to, if you may read text 8. Page 155.
I'll say the Hebrew first. Ki gamzu letova, the bad things or the negative things that happens, רק שאינה נגלית ונראית לעיני בשר. כי היא מעל מדי סקסיה שלמעלה מעל מדי התגליה. For this is also for the good, except that this is not apparent and visible to modern eyes, because it still stems from a hidden world that is higher than the revealed world.
Okay, we said that we are a child to God that came to Him in a later age, and He is a parent that we are His only child. So everything that He does is good. Now, the child by nature is going to want certain things. His good, his definition of good is in his world. He wants candy. He wants games and play. He wants to watch shows and movies. He wants to sleep till late. He does not want to go to school. He doesn't want to do homework. Okay, that's good. There's no child that doesn't have that understanding what good is all about. There's no child that doesn't think that. You want him to eat spinach. You want him to go to bed at 7 o'clock in the evening. You want him to wake up at 6:30 in the morning. You want him to go to school and to listen to the teacher and to play only in the recess and to be nice to all his friends and to work very hard and succeed in the test. Listen, you want to convince the child that you want his good? Don't sit him down and says, really, I want you good. The only way to accomplish what you think is good for him is by not giving him a choice. As long as you're going to talk to him, you're going to make it worse and worse and worse, because he is going to talk you into giving in. He knows what he wants. So what do we do as parents? And we know that, and we know, and it's every day happening. You are going to do what I told you is good for you. And even if you don't understand what is good for you, tough luck. I am responsible adult, and I've been through that, and that's what you're going to do. And you're going to thank me one day, even though but now you're crying, and now you think that I'm mean. And it bothers me a little bit, but it's okay with me because I have experience. And lack of discipline is only going to create children that are going to be monstrous. There's not two ways in the world about it. The only way is the children of very difficult condition, poor children that really they don't have what to have, and they sometimes rise to the occasion of understanding that they need to be better. But at a certain age, there's no two ways about it. So if there is a higher authority and there's a lower authority, there's a higher intelligence and higher experience and lower experience, it happens a lot of times that one will understand the good and will have to force it down the throat of the one that is in a lower position. A teacher to a student, a parent to his child, and Hashem to us. Hashem knows what's the best. He has some kind of a plan, and he has some kind of how he wants us to come out. And that's what it takes to come out, which means like that. How can I explain it? We all agree. When we read the portion of the week and we read with the Jewish people, Hashem chose us to be His nation. Hashem created the world for us. And Hashem said, okay, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are my favorites. And their children are going to get my Torah, and they are going to go into the land of Israel. And that's a promise. And then what does it do? As soon as Yaakov has 12 children and they become a bigger family of 70, he says, now it's the time to become my nation. How? Go down to Egypt and be their slaves for 210 years. Thank you. Are you serious? Well, are you in Gamzulet? How? Is that the portion of the week?
Yeah, but I don't.
We are chosen for what?
Jews want to know that all the time.
Yes. But what can we do? If you want to go serve in the army, you have to go through a training period. And a person that wants to serve his country in a special way, he wants to go to a special unit, the elite unit, he goes double the time in training and double the difficulty in the exercises.
So basically, the slavery, these generations, they were just a korban on the greater goods of God's food.
Okay, so
that's how you
very
see
good,
yourself?
very good question. Very good question.
That's what I said, not in your lifetime, so...
Very good question. Okay, so she is asking that the generations that born in Egypt and stayed in Egypt, didn't see the redemption, didn't receive the Torah, never went into the land of Israel. So are they sacrificed? Are they got only the bad? I understand the ones that came out, so they've been, let's say, 40 years slaves and then 40 years eating.
Learning about it. Nice.
Yes, something.
In the Holocaust, the same thing. They were just like, what?
Wow.
For us to be here now talking about it?
Very good.
That's stuff that it's hard to reconcile. It's not all for the best.
Very good. Okay. But for my example, for our point here, that it could be as parents, as teachers, as a trainer, as an officer in the army, we know that in order for the country to have a good units of defense, we need to get these boys a very difficult time. And we will be defended. Some of them will die.
So the answer is yes.
Some of them will die. But the country will be protected. And these, the ones that go to these units know that. And they decide to suffer, and they decide sometimes to sacrifice their life. And sometimes the incident that they are killed is also by choice, which means if they jump on the grenade in order for other ones not to be hurt, it's a choice. It's a painful choice, but we see that for them the good or worthy, they are proud of it. They are not doing it because they're thinking they're doing a bad act. They definitely doing an act of heroism. So I think that if, for example, we look at the women in Egypt, the Torah tells us a whole story that in their merit we had children. Why? Because the husbands lost faith. And they didn't want to bring children into slavery and to conditions like that. And the women enticed them. And it says a whole story, a romantic story, that they went to the river with 2 buckets and brought water and warmed the water and cooked the fish that they brought in the other bucket and came to bring them lunch to the field. And tachat tapuach orarticha, that they told them, here, wash yourself, take away from the hard work, feel comfortable, eat well, and after they ate well, they enticed them to have children. So בזכות נשים צדקניות יצאו אבותינו ממצרים. So for them, they understood that even the suffering, even some of these people didn't see the light in the end of the tunnel, being in the tunnel because it is an inevitable part of the journey. They saw the bigger picture and saw that these children are going to come out on the other side and they will see the light. So to bring them to the world and have all these difficult conditions and have them being slaves is worthwhile. Again, I don't know what is more satisfying in the end of the day. We already concluded that material pleasures are not, the definition of good is only being comfortable, watching TV all day in an air-conditioned room and sitting in a sofa, I don't know, all kinds of gadgets and all kinds of movies, is that really what, and not worrying about the bank and not worrying about, what is the real picture? The real picture is that these women brought children into slavery knowing that there is a greater picture. So when they were screaming by giving birth from pain, it's like the craziest picture. It's not in a hospital, it's in Egypt, being slaves, giving birth to children as slaves when the husbands are at work and not able to even support them. And they are in the greatest pain in the world, and they feel that they have a purpose. This is the ultimate pleasure in the world.
The best way to show us where we are now, to get us
Yes.
where we are now.
To where we are, yes.
It's all what we've been through.
Right. So, we are part of the journey. We didn't arrive yet. So if we are thinking that there's a greater purpose and we are only one piece of the great puzzle, it's a completely different look of what we are going through. And sometimes the pain is really the satisfying part of the total picture of our life, because a person likes to contribute and take away from himself, as long as he feels that he made it. Because of him it happened, and even not in a selfish way, rather in the mission oriented. And that's what we're talking about, that we have two souls, and one soul wants the egocentric one, the one that wants our pleasure and everything to be comfortable, and the other one that is mission oriented and is selfless. But the other soul is the only one that we are going to be driving satisfaction from. So, hidden good is greater than revealed good. Candy is revealed good. And getting a good mark on the test is, the way to get to it is a very hidden good way. I mean, you have to go to sleep in time and eat healthy and wake up early and review your material before you go to school in the morning and at night late before you go to sleep. It's a terrible way, but in the end, this is the only way that you really enjoy it. So, if we can say that whatever is revealed good is very simplistic, low-level good in the eyes of a lower entity, and the revealed good and the hidden good is good in a way that is much deeper, much more meaningful. It's in the higher level, the giver level of good, and it is to be appreciated that way. So I just want to say, if that is our take, the take of Rabbi Akiva is that there is good in bad in the world. There is bad in the world, but bad comes from God, so it's for a purpose of greater good. But when bad comes to us, according to Rabbi Akiva, when bad things happen to us, are we accepting it, or are we looking forward to it, or are we just saying, yes, it's okay because I'm expecting something greater to happen. This itself I wish not to happen. In Rabbi Nachum is Gamzu, there's no bad in the world. Everything is good. And